Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, Federal CIO Greg Barbaccia is tapped for 2 new leadership roles at GSA, and the CTO of the Pentagon urges Anthropic to cross the Rubicon on military AI use cases amid an ongoing ethics dispute. It's Friday, February 20th, 2026. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. And now let's dive into the day's top headlines. Federal Chief Information Officer Greg Barbaccia will be adding 2 new titles, at least temporarily, to his work in government. The General Services Administration announced Thursday that Barbaccia will join the agency as the Acting Director of Technology Transformation Services. He'll replace Thomas Shedd, one of the few officials left at the agency who helped carry out the so-called Department of Government Efficiency's cost-cutting initiative last year. Shedd will remain at the agency as its senior advisor for fraud prevention, which the GSA said is an area of increasing importance for the agency and the administration. GSA in a press release touted Shedd's leadership at TTS, including his work on core program priorities, such as the expansion of login.gov and the cleanup of sam.gov. The move is effective immediately per GSA. As TTS director, Shedd, who has been on an unpaid leave of absence from Elon Musk's electric vehicle company Tesla since the beginning of President Donald Trump's second term, has also served as deputy commissioner of GSA's Federal Acquisition Service, though it's unclear if he will remain in that supporting role. Barbaccia applauded TTS's work under Shedd, writing in a statement that it has worked to modernize how the federal government builds and delivers digital services, making interactions with government simpler, more accessible, and more efficient for the American public. The federal CIO was also tapped to be a senior advisor to the GSA administrator, the agency said. In this role, advising former private equity executive Edward Forrest, Barbaccia will focus on emerging technologies, best practices in digital delivery, and cross-government collaboration. Barbaccia said his dual roles at the agency are, quote, ensuring continuity of leadership and a strong focus on delivering value to the taxpayer, unquote. Forrest said in a statement that Barbaccia brings a powerful combination of technology strategy and hands-on execution that will accelerate GSA's mission to transform how the federal government buys, builds, and delivers digital services. Now in other news, the Pentagon will adhere to existing laws and regulations associated with surveillance, security, and democratic processes as it fast-tracks the military's frontier AI adoption, but it won't permit companies supplying the technology to determine its rules for operation, Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering Emil told DefenseScoop. His comments come as the Defense Department is locked in a high-stakes dispute with Anthropic about the U.S. military's use of the startup's Claude AI model in real-world operations. Michael said on Thursday, quote, "We want guardrails. We need the guardrails tuned for military applications. You can't have an AI company sell AI to the Department of War and then don't let it do Department of War things, because we're in the business of defending the country and defending our troops. I think if someone wants to make money from the government, from the U.S. Department of War, those guardrails ought to be tuned for our use cases, so long as they're lawful," unquote. During a meeting with a small group of reporters on the sidelines of the annual Microelectronics Commons Summit Thursday, Michael provided updates on the department's GenAI.mil rollout and pushed for the ethics-related rift between the Pentagon and Anthropic to be resolved. He went on to say, quote, "I believe and hope that they will cross the Rubicon and say this is common sense. The military has certain use cases. There are laws and regulations that govern how those use cases can be done. We're willing to comply with them," unquote. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back next week with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.